Hello, everyone. We'll get started in just a second. Just want to give people a couple minutes to hop on, so hang tight, and we'll get started soon. All right, so good morning and good afternoon, everyone. We're very excited you're here to learn more about user administration. This is our very first of many live monthly customer training sessions. My name is Larissa Squires, and I'm a customer success manager here at Kintone. So before we jump into the platform, let's go over some housekeeping. So you're likely listening using your computer's speaker system, but if you prefer to join over the phone, just select telephone in the audio pane and the dial-in information will pop up. If you have any questions at any point, you can ask them by typing into the questions pane of the control panel. We'll collect your questions at the end and answer during the Q&A session. So what will we be covering today? So we'll be covering the user administration section of users and systems administration. First, we'll go over service usage, then we'll jump into departments and users, services and users, job titles, groups or roles, bulk actions, administrators, and we'll end off with department access control. So let's jump in. All right, so for an administrator navigating from home, you'll click the gear wheel next to the search bar and you'll select users and system administration. So when you first enter the admin side, the first thing you see is the service usage section. So we'll start there. So service usage, this is where you'll check your usage, update your license, and add more users. To the right, you can get a quote or purchase Kintone Professional, Kintone Guest Users, Extra Data, and Client Certificate Authentication. You can also view your current limitations set within Kintone against where you currently fall. You'll do that here. And then if you click Payment Details, you can see the 5 most recent transactions. To view the list of all your transaction history, you'll need to log into the Kintone store. So now let's check out departments and users. So first we'll go over departments. So this allows you to separate your users out by their specific department. This will make it super easy when you're setting up app permissions, process management, notifications, or mentioning in comments or threads. Instead of including each individual person, you can just add in the entire department. So you can add a department here or here. If you have a department selected, you can click this one right here, and it will create a child department underneath the root department. So if you hover over a name, a gear wheel will pop up, and these are the department settings. So edit allows you to change the name, localized name, department code, whether or not it has a parent department, and the description. So these are the settings you set when you created the department initially. So add a child department, we'll add a sub-department under the root. You can also do that in the edit. Change members allows you to add and delete the members of the department. Reorder will reorder the list of departments. And department administrators, you can add and delete the department administrators. And then if you click delete, it will delete the entire department. If you look down here, we have unassigned users. So these are the users who aren't currently belonging to a department, and then all users of the platform will show you a list of everybody. So now we'll hop over to the user side. So this is anything dealing with the individual users of the platform. So here you can add a new user. Here you'll change the profile settings, and then you can also search for a user with the search bar. So first, let's hop into profile settings. So here you can set whether to allow users to edit certain details on their profile. So for example, employee ID would most likely want to deny those changes. You can also set up to 50 custom fields. They can either be a user selection field or a text field. You can choose the visibility, which is whether or not it's on their public Kintone profile, and whether or not they can edit. So it's essentially like up here, you'll allow or deny them to edit. You can add a new one right here. We'll go back out. Okay, so by clicking the pencil to the left of a user's name, you can edit their profile. So if you go in here, there's only 2 required fields. So you're required to use a display name. This is the name that will display in Kintone, and then also a login name. So this is what they'll use when they log in. I strongly recommend making the login name their email address, as this is easiest to remember. Many times we have people who are unable to log in and they try using their email as their login name when their login name is actually maybe their first name or some other variation. So definitely I recommend using your email address for your login name. And then to go over the other settings you can set for a user. So email address, this will be required if you want to set up email notifications. It will also show up in the user's profile, so other users have quick access to their colleagues' contact information. We have status. It will show active or inactive. Active means that they can log into Kintone, and when they're inactive, they can't log into Kintone. Available services. If there is a check, then they have access. If it's unchecked, they don't have access. This can also be set with services and users, which we'll chat about in the next section. And the cloud is Kintone, and the shield is if you have client certificate authentication set up. So here you have department. You can also assign a user to a department here. A user can be part of more than one department, so make sure you set the priority department below. You can also choose the job title after selecting the department. So we'll go over job titles a little bit later, but this is where you'll select the user's job title. And then we have a spot for a phone number and then a URL. Below, there's additional options you can add about your user, and then all the way at the bottom, you'll see the custom field that I included, the user selection field in the profile setting. So this is the field that I added for manager. And then if you go up to the top, on the top right, you can change the user's password. So you can generate a password automatically or enter one manually. Then you'll choose save or save and send to the user via email. All right, we'll hop out of here and we'll go over to services and users. So here's where you manage your services. This is used to assign or remove Kintone services and client certificate authentication. If you remove someone from Kintone, they will be able to log in, but they won't have access to the platform. And then here you'll just click to add. Oh, we already have them over there. And then click to remove. And then that's the same for the client certificate. So you can set this here. You can also set it in their user profile. So now we'll go over to job titles. So this allows you to select the job title after determining the department in the user's profile like we saw before. You can add a new job title or you can reorder the job title. The reorder will show the order they appear when selecting in the user profile for those who don't already have one set. So to create a new job title, simply click New. You'll enter the name and then you'll save. And then to delete the job title, you'll open up the job title, and then to the right, you'll click Delete this job title. So let's go over to groups or roles. So this is more dynamic than departments. People can be added to a group or role if they meet certain criteria. You can use groups or roles the same way you use departments for mentioning, process management, notifications, and permissions. It allows you to include people from different departments into one group. So to add in a new department, you'll click New, then you'll enter the name and you'll choose whether you want it to be static. So this means you can manually add members, or you can choose dynamic, which means you'll set certain criteria that needs to be followed in order to automatically include somebody in the group. So when you roll over the different groups and roles, you'll see a gear wheel. So let's see. So for a static group, you can edit, which allows you to change the name, group code, or description, but you can't change it to dynamic. So a static group will always stay static. You can change the group members, you can reorder, or you can delete. When you roll over the gear wheel for a dynamic group, you can edit, which allows you to change the name, group code, or description, but you can't change it to static. Edit membership conditions. This is where you'll set up the conditions that need to be met in order to be in the group. You can reorder and delete. So let's check out some membership conditions. So for this one, when all conditions are met, they'll be added to the group. So if anyone's job title includes manager, then they'll be added to this group. We'll click in here. So you can go directly to a user's profile by clicking the pencil icon. And then also note you will always have the groups everyone and administrators. So these two cannot be deleted. So administrators is just like the administrator section we'll go over a little later, and then everyone will include everybody in the platform. So now we'll go over to bulk actions. So you can bulk import, export, and delete users here. So import from a file, we'll start here. So this makes it easier if you need to add lots of users at once instead of manually adding them individually. So the best way to start with this is you can download this CSV template file to ensure you have the correct formatting for import. And then once you download this file, you can find detailed instructions on what's required and how to set up the cells in the CSV in our Help Center. So that's going to be key to properly importing your file, is that you follow the instructions from the Help Doc in our Help Center. So once the CSV is ready, you can browse, skip the header row if you have a header row in your file, and then you'll just import. So now we'll go export to file. So here you can export user information. You can also export user available services, departments, membership, job titles, groups or roles, and user groups or role membership. And then we'll go to delete users. So you'll highlight the name, click add, or remove if you've made a mistake. So you can add as many people over there as you need. And then once you have all the users you'd like to delete on the right side, you come down here and you'll click delete. All right, so now we'll go to administrators. So administrators have all the permissions in the platform. And here you can add or remove the admin. Simply highlight the name and click add or remove, just like before. And then a little tip, it's never a bad idea to have more than one administrator. It makes life so much easier if you get locked out, if your users have any issues while you're unreachable, or if an admin leaves the company. It's always nice to have more than one person who has access to all the information in your platform. All right, and lastly, we'll go down to department access control. So the department access control feature enables administrators to limit users' access across departments. So if it's enabled, information of users and departments is only visible by users in the same top level department. So it's super easy, just check and uncheck and save. So when enabled, users from one top level department are unable to message or view the profiles of users from other top level departments. So users in different top level departments are not displayed in search results, and they cannot be specified as recipients of @mentions in comments. Records with users from other top level departments, they show the user as user and then not visible in parentheses. So you won't see an image for that person and you won't see the display name, you'll just see user not visible, rather than the display name in the picture like a normal. So users within the same top level department, they can view each other's profiles, message each other, search for users, and @mention them, regardless of their child department's locations or groups or roles. So within the same department, settings are as normal, just like if you didn't enable department access control. So administrators can view all users' profiles. And then the one limitation with this is if you reply to a comment that included an unknown user, they will still get the notification and comment even though they belong to a different top level department. So they won't know who it's from, and the person replying won't know who it's going to, but you can reply and that individual will receive the message to their notifications. All right, so that concludes our training for user administration. All right, so we're now going to begin questions. So we'll answer the questions you submitted during the presentation, and then as a reminder, you can still submit questions through the questions pane in your attendee control panel. So now we'll just pause for a minute and I'll give you a second to formulate any questions that you have. All right, so let's go over some of these questions. First question, what access do department administrators have? So department administrators, they can manage and edit the profiles of users within their department, and then also people who are unassigned to a department. So if we go back over, you'll set your department administrators right here in the department settings. What's the purpose of job titles, departments, and groups? So basically, this is best for permission control. So for example, say you have an employee, John, and he's a business operations assistant at your company, and he reports to the finance department. So John's in charge of approving timesheets, has permission in expense app, and so on. So if John leaves the company and you have the permissions set by his name, John, then you'll have to go into each app that John had permission to, and you'll have to remove him and then add in the new person. So instead, you can create a group called Business Operations, BizOps, and this will include anyone in the finance department with the job title Business Operations Assistant. So you can set that as a dynamic group that includes anyone in the finance department and has that job title. So you'll then use the group business operations in your permission settings instead of using John. So by using the group, when John leaves, then all you need to do is make John inactive and then assign the new person to the finance department and give them the job title business operations assistant. So what will happen, and you'll set that here. So you'll do finance and then you'll select the job title. And then they'll receive the same permissions John had without the hassle of having to go into every single app John had access to change that over to the new person. Great question. All right, so what is client certificate authentication? So this is just another layer of security. So you want to make sure the right devices are accessing Kintone. So client certificate will only give permission to a certain device to access Kintone. And then if you have department access control set, can users see information of people from a different department of the same group? So users will only see the information of people in their own department. If a person does not belong to the same department, they can't be seen even if they're in the same group. All right, let's see. Okay, so that's all the time we have for questions right now. So thank you to everyone for attending today's live training session. So exciting, the first of many to come. If you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to support@kintone.com. This is going to be the best place to ask your Kintone questions. So you'll receive an email in the next 24 hours with this webinar recording, and then we'll also be putting it up on our YouTube channel in the coming days. So on behalf of Kintone, thank you for joining us and have a great rest of your day. Bye.